Association, and Outstanding Achievement in the Profession. To present this year's Harrod Award, please welcome Anna Wright.
Let's talk about Doug Jennings one more time. How about that? So, I'm going to be honest. When I first saw that Doug was nominated for this award, my first thought was, there is no way he hasn't won this award yet. So I dig through the meticulous files that he left me for my new role as executive secretary, and I realized, he hasn't. And then my second thought was, but does he really need one more award? He's retired, what's he going to do with it? And then I felt like a real jerk when he asked me to give this speech. Preparing for the speech, I took some time to read the description for the Harrod Award, and I have to say that I agree. Doug has earned this award. There's two criteria for the award that I will address, and the first is outstanding achievement in the profession. Doug contributed a great deal to the field of communication. In his letter of nomination, Craig Cutworth noted that when Doug was asked to take over, or told to take over the communication education program at ISU, he was tasked with revitalizing a nearly dead program. So Doug contacted NCA and asked for assessments and resources to help with this, and he was told there were none. His response? He created them, and then presented them to NCA through various presentations. Within a few years, NCA was referring folks to Doug for these resources, and he quickly became a leader in this area. His reputation in the profession has not ceased. As I've become more involved in the regional and national associations, Doug's name has come up time and time again. People often ask me, are you the new Doug? And while I understand what they're saying, the truth is, I can only hope to be a fraction as successful as Doug is. Doug's professional achievements were summed up nicely in Marvin Kleinow's letter of nomination when he said, Doug is Mr. Speech in Illinois at the national level. The second criteria for this award is distinguished service to the association. And to say that Doug has given distinguished service to the association is an understatement. First, Doug has been a member of the ICTA board since 1999, 16 years. He's been serving this organization for more than half of my life. Those of you that know Doug, that know him personally, know that he's also into antiques. So I tried to make an antique analogy throughout this speech, but according to Merriam-Webster, antiques have considerable value because of their age. And I thought it was inappropriate to suggest that Doug is valuable to us because of his age. However, after his 16 years of service, I think we can say that he has considerable value to the organization. There are probably very few, if any, people in this room who have not interacted with Doug in some way. I've worked with Doug in the central office for the past 3 years, and I can tell you, the knowledge he possesses of this organization and how to successfully run a convention is unmatched. This is yet another way I can only hope to be as successful as Doug. Past presidents of the association have praised Doug for his assistance in planning conventions and his overwhelming knowledge of the association and state of communication in Illinois. Not only does Doug have this knowledge, he is more than willing to share it. In his letter of nomination, Tom Pace wrote, over the years, I emailed Doug about various communication projects and found him knowledgeable and immediate in his replies. Doug's knowledge has enhanced ICTA in the communication field in Illinois for years. When I read through Doug's nomination packet, I smiled when I read multiple letters that said that Doug has an ability to facilitate debates or difficult conversations. He can help others see what is best for the organization without directly telling people what to think. This is perhaps his most frustrating quality. When a tough issue comes up, many of us turn to Doug for help. But after a long, uplifting conversation, we realize that he hasn't told us what to do, but nicely laid out all of our options. That's because Doug is the best diplomat I know, and that has made him successful in the discipline and in ICTA. In acknowledging Doug's service to ICTA, Lauren Morgan wrote in her letter of nomination, for the members of the Illinois Communication and Theater Association, we could not have found a better advocate, a better champion, or a better friend. We not only owe Doug a debt of gratitude for his service, but our strongest affirmation by honoring him with the Edith Harrod Award. So Doug, it is my honor to present you with the Edith Harrod Award, the last ICTA award you can win.
I ever got the student award. I can go back. Thank you, Anna, and the letter writers, and actually thank everyone here who kind of been my pillar of support throughout the time, because I wouldn't have wanted to do this unless you all were in a situation where you were accepting of it and desirous of it and making it all happen. There was no way I ever wanted to walk away until this weekend. No, it's been a long ride, and I really have enjoyed the whole thing. Through that ride, I want to admit to you that I have made some mistakes in my life, and I predict that there's a number of people in here willing to tell you some of them. There's some students who can tell you about some of the faux pas I made in my classrooms. There's some peers in here who would be willing to tell you about the strange things I've said or done at conventions or in business meetings. And then, of course, there's my lovely wife, Beverly, who could give you a whole host of stories of things that I have done that were kind of mistake-oriented. But I'd rather be the one choosing which ones I talk about, because then I have a lot better control over that situation to do that. But the best thing, I think, is I learned some things from those mistakes occasionally, and some of them weren't so big, at least the ones I'll admit to today, and we'll see kind of what came from them. I'd like to start with one that happened during my very, very first year of teaching, which before a lot of you in here were born. It's 1972. That's right, right? Started teaching in 1972 at a small high school in northern Illinois. I made the mistake, I guess some would say, of falling for one of my students. You know, here I was, a first-year teacher, and there she was, a high school senior. Now, this is a lesson I have never told my classes before, because I didn't think it would be probably appropriate. Brian, to tell the classes, hey, it's okay to do this. But here it is 42 years later, and we're very happily married. We have 3 kids and 6 grandkids and all sorts of things going really well in our life. So thank you for the support and allowing me to make that mistake a long time ago. So that's when the teaching career started in '72, and I arrived at Illinois State University in 1979. The disconnect that I want to talk about here is that I did not become professionally involved until about 15 years into my career. And so he said these wonderful things about the stuff that I've been able to do lately. Did you notice that? Kind of lately? But literally, I spent the first 15 years of my life thinking I was too busy. I had too much on my plate. I had 5 preps or whatever it was. I was coaching the drama team in debate and speech, and they even gave me tennis for a while to do that because I had a tennis class in college. Literally, did that. But I didn't see the need for the professional side until halfway through my career. That, I think, is a mistake. And that's something that I think that we need to wake up to and be telling ourselves about in terms of how much time do we have. I'm already off script to do that. But I've been an ICTA member since the early 80s, and like Anna said, been on the board since 1990, and I think there were some times that Connie linked up me on the board doing stuff before then to do that. I remember meetings in the basement of her house that ICTA would just meet in the basement to do that, in terms of that. But ICTA has been a gigantic impact on me. And once I got it, it enabled me to accomplish the things that come from attending convention, becoming involved in the organization, that helped me become a professional. And that's something that I've always tried to impact upon my students, is that this is a profession that we do. Teaching is a profession, our discipline is a profession, and this association is a professional association. ICTA, like every other professional association, is encountering challenges today. Membership is dwindling, I read very recently, in almost every professional association. We've been able to manage to kind of stay stable over the last 15 years. But it's a challenge because you think about, what do I get out of the association? What do I get from the convention? I get information, I get education, and I get some social relationships. Hell, that's the same stuff you get off of Facebook. You know? So what can we provide to the millennials and people coming up that they can't get through the internet? And I think that's where we have to reach out to our millennials and say, it's time for you to step up. It's time for you not to wait 15 years like this person did, and do it soon and get involved. This association is very welcoming of you stepping in, and so I'd like you to take that particular challenge. I appreciate literally all the honors that ICTA has given me over the years. I'm also happy that we're honoring the young folks that we saw this morning, you know, of the association, and recognizing their accomplishments. I think of a few years ago, another mistake I made is when a student came in my office and asked to become a teacher. And my initial response to Anna at that time was negative. Didn't I? I said, no. We won't get into the reasons why. But now you have a new executive secretary, which we just voted in. Now you have a new teacher award winner, which is this evening, that we'll hear about, to do that. And now you have someone that is successfully doing communication research on the impact of our association. That's the kind of leadership that I think is important. So I think that whatever we can do to encourage research, whatever we can do to encourage professionalism, the teaching of communication, the teaching of theater in our association, and I'm even asking, in essence, the new board coming on, let's look at some research initiatives to help people do that, because once we give attention to research, once we give attention to new ideas and new thoughts coming up, that's going to keep our association healthy, happy, and long-term. And we won't need that dissolution statement that we just voted in a little bit ago. So my appeal is very simple. I want you to think about more involvement. I know your plates are full. Mine was too. I want you to think about research. Maybe you're an undergraduate student thinking about being that honors class. Maybe you're a graduate student thinking about a thesis. Maybe you're a faculty member who just has curiosity. And think about research, about communication, education, and helping to make that particular difference. So, pardon my mistakes over the years. I made my share. And I know I missed a lot of them that I didn't talk about today. But I want you to make a step forward to help your discipline, your profession, your ICTA, and your students, most of all. Thank you very much for listening.
So that's the new president.